I'm ready.
Okay, I have hit the button. It's going to give it a few seconds, and we are live. Hello, this is Joe of the West,
And I am Zeal of Sparta.
and we are here for the Pseudo-Random Podcast, episode 14. Only, 24 hours late this time. How are you doing this week, Zeal?
Doing pretty good now that I'm not on the road.
Yeah, you do a lot of traveling now, which, I've tried to avoid with a fiery passion for most of my life. So anyway, before we get started, just want to let y'all know if you want to find more of what we're doing, you can find me here at this YouTube channel at youtube.com/JoeoftheWest. And if you want to get in touch with me, twitter.com/JoeoftheWest is where I'm at most days. And Zil, would you like to tell us where we can find you?
Yes, you can find me on twitter.com with the handle Zeal of Sparta, and youtube.com/slash Zeal of Sparta is my primary YouTube page that I post my videos, mostly gaming, of course, on. So you can find me there too.
Yep, where every time I watch one of his first person shooter games, I'm reminded I never want to come up against him in a first person shooter game. So, yeah. So, anyway, the first story is yours. The title, I believe, is Paris wants to cut all cars pre 1997 from city limits.
Yes, Paris has a goal of cutting its greenhouse gases by roughly 75% by the year 2050, and one of their latest steps in achieving that goal of theirs is to cut out all cars built at in or before the year 2000 sorry 1997. They want really old cars, or what they consider really old cars, off the road. And there is no classic exemption for like old Porsche 911s, for example.
Yeah, so I was reading through this and I'm reminded of something Japan did probably about 15 years now, give or take, where they basically did the same thing, but you could do a classic car exemption. I think you had to jump through some extra hoops, but it was very successful there.
Yes.
Um, so I don't like the fact that you can't have a classic car in the city limits of Paris anymore. Although I will say it does look like you could still have one, you just can't go into the city.
Right, it's the city of Paris itself.
Right.
And as far as the classic car exemption goes, it was in a former version of the bill, but when it finally passed, they cut it all together. So that's unfortunate for those who would like to display their concourse ready vehicle in the city for, like, say, a special event that they may have. I'm sure they have special events outside of the Paris Automotive Show that they have yearly.
Right.
And, well, for people who do break this new rule, this new law, they get slapped with a pretty minor offense, though. It's basically the equivalent of a jaywalking penalty.
Yeah. Well, I think it says parking ticket on here, but
Yeah, it
it,
comes in the form of a parking ticket, but exempt vehicles have to have an emission sticker of sorts, a certificate that they will put in their windshield.
well, anyway, yeah, I think this is gonna cause a lot of issues, but I could tell you from other hearing about these kind of things from in other cities and other countries in the world that it works. I mean, it just flat out does. So I can't argue
Yeah.
with the intent, but I do think that there should be some kind of exemption, or we'll end up with what we have here. Here, where we live, emissions was enforced for a little while back in the 90s. There was a it's a little different than this. They basically enforced emissions statewide, but that
Right.
lasted like 5 minutes because there was so many people, way out in the country, especially that they just all their cars would go away, so they stopped enforcing it.
Yeah, it would have been exorbitant in order to enforce something like that. It's too far reaching. Like, take a farm, for example, they'll have a 30, 40, sometimes 50 or 60-year-old farm truck that's used only on the farm for the most part. And in order to replace that, they would have to buy a whole new vehicle unnecessarily.
Well, I think you can have. In fact, I know you can have an a vehicle that doesn't meet emissions on your private property, because I know you don't have to have a tag. This is something I ran into. I've got a couple of vehicles that broke down, and
Hmm.
when I was at the tag office, the lady I was talking to informed me that I could cancel the tag, and then once I cancel the tag, I could cancel insurance, but there'd be major penalties if I was found driving it on the road later on.
Right.
So I imagine the same thing would apply there. But this is getting off topic a little bit. But I am curious to see what's going to happen with this and with the inevitable lawsuit. So
Well, people will surely try to sue or fight it somewhat, despite it going in just a few weeks.
right,
And it's going to cost a lot of people who have to commute into Paris lots of money because their old cars that they cannot afford to replace with much newer ones are effectively useless to them if they want to go into the city
right,
legally.
yeah. Well, you can always do it illegally. So anyway, I think that's enough on that. There's not really a lot to say on it. So we'll move on to my story. But first, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you know anything about the Infinity War?
I've heard something about it, but refresh me, please.
Okay, so it's in the Marvel Universe that basically there's these Infinity Crystals. Without getting too big into the history, they are remnants from the creation of the universe. And they basically, if you have one of these crystals, you're overcome with the essence of what they are. So I think there's like I don't remember what they are, but there's one that's like I keep thinking the seven deadly sins, but it's not them. There's like the mind crystal. If you saw Age of Ultron, have you seen that movie yet?
No, I have not actually.
Okay, well it's without spoiling. I don't think this will spoil it, but the Age of Ultron movie, the they find out in Loki's staff, which I guess is a little bit of spoilers. Sorry, is powered by the mind crystal. So whoever possesses that mind crystal can control the minds of everybody.
Mm.
And so there's a glove, and that's in the mythos, which I don't know which movie this is going to be in, called the Infinity Gauntlet, which basically lets you put all six Infinity Stones in it, and you have full control over them. So
Hmm.
if you had a gauntlet that could control all aspects of the universe, and you tried to use it as an oven mitt, how well do you think it would hold up?
Hmm. Good question. Doesn't sound like it would hold up very well with a lot of people, or the device itself.
It does or does not sound like it would hold up very well.
Likely not.
Really, a glove that can manipulate all of the universe would not hold up very well.
I don't know.
Well, you'd be right in this case. So, I think it was Loot Crate. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of Loot Crate. Everybody has.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't, it's basically you subscribe to this service and they send you a bunch of random nerdy stuff every month.
Yeah, fun boxes.
Yep. So one of the Loot Crates, they gave an oven mitt replica of the Infinity Gauntlet
Hmm.
that self-destructs when you try to actually use it. And so
Funny.
people are getting injured by a replica of the most powerful weapon in the universe by
I
it
mean,
self-destructing.
they got away with that, huh?
So, yep. As the article says from The Verge, keep away from Marvel superheroes and hot surfaces.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Yep. Okay, well,
Oh, and get this, 9 days ago, apparently Loot Crate recalls all of the Infinity Mitts and tells people to stop using them.
yeah, because they melt in your hand.
Yeah, not good.
That would be horrible. Well, anyway, so I thought that was funny. That was going to be my little bit of funniness, but it got moved up a little ahead. So anyway, so I think the next story is yours, titled "There's a Difference. The durable car and the reliable car are not the same, folks."
Yeah, over at Road and Track, Jack Baruth is back with another good story, and he tells his tale of the old reliable cars or reliable cars and durable cars, like the old Mercedes Benz. I believe it was the 123, and he wants people to stop thinking of durable cars as reliable cars. See, they're not the same. You can beat up a good old Mercedes or your typical body on frame truck, but that does not mean they're going to be reliable like your everyday four-cylinder Toyota Camry. It's yeah, it's not the same. Like take your Volvo for example. It's a very durable car. Volvos are not known to be reliable though. You can beat them up and trudge them through snow and even wreck them a few times, and they'll still be in good shape. But it's not the strong suit of them to actually not blow their turbos after a while.
Well, mine does not have a turbo, but I will tell you this: the headlights will not stay on. The relay, I discovered this the other day. The relay that toggles between high and low beam will just completely disconnect, so I have to constantly toggle it, and I can't have it on high beam.
Wow,
So I will have to get that fixed, before fall.
like very soon.
Well, I don't drive that much after dark because here dark's not until 9 o'clock. So,
Yeah, it's
but yeah,
nightfall's very late now.
so I would disagree with this one statement. It says everybody says they want a durable car, but what they really want is a reliable car. No, I've never said, except for maybe trucks. I don't think I've ever used the word durable. I've always said I want a reliable car
Right,
because I don't go around. I want one that I'm driving normally and it's not going to just fall apart.
right. Which is nice. Being
Right.
able to drive and your car not fall apart before your very eyes. Like that chair I just tossed out a couple of hours ago. Um, yeah, a lot of the old Mercedes Benz vehicles were known to be tanks back in the 80s, but really they were not reliable. But some people have romanticized them as reliable while still calling them durable. This is where
Right.
his argument lies.
Okay. All right. Well, that's everybody is entitled to their opinion.
Yep.
Who's I heard this recently. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. They're also entitled to be wrong. And I can't
Hmm.
remember who I heard say that recently, but if I remember, I will try to cite him later on.
Yeah, that would be good. But the full article is over at roadandtrack.com,
Right.
and it's under Jack Baruth's in his Avoidable Contacts subblog.
Yep. And if I remember this time, I will put the links in the show notes, in the description this time.
Okay.
So anyway, well, that's it for that story. Nothing really much else to say on that. Now, the next story is mine. Have you ever watched the YouTube channel Braincraft?
No, actually.
Um, I highly recommend it. What she
No.
does, have you ever watched the show's Vsauce?
Yes, I have.
Okay. It's the same kind of thing as a Vsauce 3 does, except it's all brain related stuff.
I'm sorry. I have some ASBOs on some motorcycles revving their motorcycles needlessly.
Okay.
Yeah. Could you
Whoops.
repeat that, please?
Okay. So they are a Vsauce 3 style channel, except she does educational stuff about the brain, about how the memory works, about how creativity works, about how, those kind of things. So they're really interested, and I suggest anybody who's even remotely interested in that kind of stuff just watch. Um, but this one I want to do, she also does articles, and one of these is a creativity test. Or most of them are about or from the 60s and 70s, where there's three of them. I don't know if we're going to go through all of them in detail, but they've got the Torrance test for creative thinking, which basically allows you to take a bunch of, you take some questions and you try to, well, let me bring them up. So, and I'm actually swapping them around. You take a description and then, or a picture and a description, and they try to figure out what the picture's actually representing, what it's actually doing. And there's some scores on that. Um, like, I like this figure, which is on the screen. I don't know if you're watching a live stream, but they say there's a circle. And then the more creative is they might draw something like Mickey Mouse, or less creative, they might draw a chain.
Okay.
Or another one, they're given blocks, squares, rectangles, trapezoids. And a more creative example is like a king with a crown, and a less creative is a face. So basically, you take these seemingly random shapes and ideas and stuff, and you have to draw something. That's the Torrance test. The
Okay.
one we're going to take is not this one. Well, we'll just go in order. I don't know if I can pronounce this. The Walcott-Kogan creativity test. Where basically these two psychologists, Walcott and Kogan, developed a battery of visual and audio creative tests that you basically take it and try to do things. Like, the example they give is name a thing with wheels. So, actually, you do that one. If you're not looking at the screen, don't cheat. Name things with wheels, and how many can you come up with?
Let's see. Cars, trains, carts, motorcycles. Funny enough, trucks, wagons, carts. I already said, but the little dollies that
Right.
people use. Jack stands. Excuse me. What do they call those? The ones they lift. The pallet jacks.
Yeah.
Pallet jacks. Forklifts, cranes in some cases, all sorts of vehicles, really.
Okay. So you named more than was on this list of examples. You named the car, truck, train. Oh, did you say train?
I did say train. It was like the second one, I
Okay.
believe.
You said cart. It technically says a go kart. The last
Yeah,
example is your mind. Your mind has wheels.
in a way.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. So you do the originality. So you probably would have gotten good scores on originality, not because you named almost everything on the list, so those wouldn't have counted as very original. But you also did, pallet jacks and some other stuff. Uh, the fluency is just the total. So I think I counted 7 or 8. I lost count. Um, so the flexibility one, you probably would have done okay with, because you name everything you named literally had wheels, but you named modes of transportation and tools, basically. Hand trucks, pallet jacks. Those are
Right.
kinds of tools. Um, Elaboration. The example they give is amount of detail. For example, a car equals 0, whereas a car racing down the street is 1. And then you get another point if you say where it's going.
Okay.
So I guess a car racing down the street into town would have been 2 points.
Or those loud motorcycles heading up the road near my house
Right.
being very loud would have been elaborative.
Yeah, so that would have been at least 2 points, because there was 3 things. You said a motorcycle, you called them a name, I think.
Asbo, basically British dialect for hooligan,
Mm,
moron.
that sounds more offensive than it actually is. Um,
It's
oh,
because it was borrowed.
that's because it sounds kind of like abo, which is uh, which is an Australian slur for Aboriginal.
Oh.
Apparently, there's a huge race issue right now with the people who are natively from Australia and the people who migrated.
Yeah, I was not familiar with that one. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't either until I watched the thing where there They were talking about, be mindful of your actions, how they hurt other people, and it was weird because it was like somebody not taking a seat on a bus and somebody, you know, going to a bar and leaving an empty seat between him and the next person over. And so that's a whole other conversation. But
So
the part that
basically,
confused me,
cultural, customary
yeah.
things
So like,
can be perceived as offensive.
right, but this was specifically geared towards Australians.
Yes.
So I was really confused because I on a train I don't want to sit next to anybody. In a bar I don't want to sit next to anybody. So based on that though, I'm Australian racist.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah,
So,
I get what they were going at, but because I think they were trying to say they didn't take the seat because. But anyway, the last one is where I finally get because they basically did a a priest and a rabbi and a blah 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 walk into a bar type of joke,
yeah.
except they were throw in abo in one of those and that's what you got. So anyway,
Ah.
so back to this though. The last one is the remote associates test, developed by Sarnoff Midnick in 1962. It's basically a convergent intelligence test where
Hmm.
more creative people, according to Midnick, will come up with a larger number of associations with less frequently used words. So, like convergent thinking is, well, I'm gonna butcher it, I think, but the way I understand it is, if I say wheel, take the other example, what are related to wheels? And that's cars, go karts, naming stuff that literally has wheels.
Right.
If I get a little more out of that, I might say the example they said: a mind, a stream, because a stream is you could have a rolling, a rolling rapid or something, and then wheels roll. So I could get further and further out and come up with an association. So, are you? Don't cheat.
I'm not.
Okay, this one actually has scores, but we're not going to go through all of them and score them. Maybe if we do, we'll do it as another video. So, I'm going to name 3 words, and there's an expected solution. So this one does work a little different than that one. You don't go, here's all the things I could think of. We're looking for a specific thing.
Okay.
Okay, so the first group of words is falling, actor, and dust.
Falling actor dust. That
How are
could be a
those
number of
words
things.
related?
Well, a well, if you're talking about modeling, 3D modeling, an actor, like the entity that you're setting up, could be falling, and the actor in this case could potentially be dust or stone or something that could turn into dust on impact after the fall, or um, a car could go off the rails, so to speak, as in off the road, and hit some dirt on the side of the road and stir up dust. Those are just two examples. Or just driving off the road, going down, it will fall. The suspension will fall. The center of mass will fall. You'll hit dirt, stir up dust.
Okay. So the
Those are
answer,
my two broad examples.
their example, their solution they were looking for is star.
Ah, stardust falling. Yes.
So a star is an actor, a star can be a falling star, and star dust is a thing.
Right.
So it sounds like you were trying to come up with a situation where these 3 different things would happen at once, and that's not really what they're looking for.
Okay.
So, but I get the confusion. So let's do
Right.
another one now that I think we understand the rules, or now that we understand the rules. Let's do. Let me scroll down. Let me just pick another random one.
See, in that
Here,
case, there was an object, an action, and an element.
yeah, we could say that. So there's 3 words, and there's a 1-word answer that fits all 3. That's
Okay.
how it works. So this one only gets you 1 point. They say this is an easy one to get. So it's room. That first one was a 3 point, so it was very hard to get.
Okay.
So this one is room, blood, and salts.
Room, blood, and salts. Interesting. Like a butcher or a what's the term for that? Slaughterhouse. Don't get the salt part though. Interesting. Could be this, could be that. So what's their answer?
It's bath.
Wait, it said room, blood, and salts?
The answer is bath. So you have a bathroom, you have a blood bath, and you have bath salts.
Ah, I get it.
Okay.
It's all related to the bath.
Right. So you're literally coming up with.
I'm trying to narrow it down to something very specific.
Right. Well, yeah, bath I guess wouldn't be very specific, but it shouldn't be. So let's hit another one. Let's see if we can get one of them. Here we go. Blade, witted, and wary.
Blade, witted, and wary. And I just know I'm going to try to diagnose this one again instead of broadly thinking about it.
Well,
Blade, witted, and
think about what could describe a blade.
sharp. And witty is sharp. Could be considered sharp as well.
Okay.
It was blade, witted, and what was the third?
Wary.
Worn? Dull?
That's it.
Okay.
A blade can be dull. You can be dull-witted, and I guess dull is also a synonym for wary.
It is.
Okay. So do you want to do another one, or do you want to move along?
Yeah, let's shoot one more.
Okay. Let me grab one out of the number 2. Ink, herring, and neck. I will be surprised if you don't get this one.
Filler. So ink, herring, and neck. Well, there's not inkwells. Is it called an inkwell where you dip the pen in, the old-fashioned pen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Herring. There's red herring. There's red ink, and the third one was
Neck.
neck. Neck could also be a container considered. There's herringbone. That was also used as a neck container. No. The neck of the pen could be made out of herringbone.
You're way overanalyzing.
Yes, it's been a long 3.5 weeks.
I guess a hint would be the only thing that connects the 3 words is the solution word.
Right. So herring, ink, and neck. Pen? No. I know herring is a bird, but I do not know a whole lot about that bird. Per se.
Well, you know a little bit about the bird.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of a big bird with a long beak and a long neck. But where the ink ties into that, I may be off base.
You want a hint that'll drive you nuts?
Herring is actually a fish, isn't it?
Actually, yeah. Why do we say? I don't know. Anyway, so do you want a hint that'll drive you nuts?
Go ahead.
You've already said the answer. You just didn't say it was the answer.
Ah. It's an inkwell. Let's see. Pen?
No.
It's not an inkwell because that's one of the first things I said. Filler necks. I'll take that as a no.
No.
Um, the pin. It's not the pin with the feather on it from a herring. It's what else did I say? Hmm.
I don't know if I would be doing better, but this is painful because I know the answer and it's obvious when I
It
know
may
the
be
answer.
obvious to you.
Yeah, because I know the answer.
Yeah. So what is the answer?
It's red.
It is red. I said red earlier, and you'd never confirmed it, so I figured it was wrong.
I didn't. You said the ink could be red and there's a red herring, and then you didn't say anything about the neck.
I thought I did, but maybe I was
Nope.
bouncing it around in my mind and not actually speaking it.
Speak your mind. But anyway, I just thought this would be fun, and I do like these kind of things. The solutions, I don't know if the solutions are locked in place. Like, here's another one: coin, quick, and spoon. The answer is silver.
Silver coins, silver spoons.
Yeah, but like when you said, "Oh, the dull one," where is that? The answer was dull, but you said something that I would have. I don't even remember what you said.
Sharp, perhaps?
You said sharp, but then when we threw in the third one, you changed it to something else that I would have accepted, but then you came up with dull.
Worn. I said that right before I
That
said
was it.
dull.
Yeah, so worn. I would have taken that because a razor
Yeah,
could be worn.
yeah. I was thinking of worn, and then I further refined that answer to dull.
Right. So anyway, let's move on.
Right.
So your next story is
Yeah, it's a two-piecer
yep.
featuring Thurrott.com. Um, Xbox is getting its anniversary update pretty soon, and I can preview it now, if I so choose, on my Xbox One. And it includes a host of updates like Cortana, better feed sharing, Win32 game integration. Like my friends can see me playing Hearthstone, for example, on the PC, and I could join in on their parties, and they can see me playing that, and I can still be chatting with them in the Xbox app on the PC itself, which I was testing out last night to a limited degree. And there's further improvements to like the one store and the Xbox Live Upload Studio, and where you can actually access it from the computer, your PC, which is great for me because I'd so rather do that. And using the Upload Studio on the Xbox itself is kind of tedious and broken. It takes too long to just upload them and edit them further. Excuse me.
Yeah, I could definitely tell a difference between the videos that you captured and then made your tweaks and then uploaded it and the ones you uploaded straight from the Xbox. There's a huge quality difference.
Right. Like 2 weeks ago on our last podcast, I said I was going to do some final touch ups of a video I had and add some music. Well, I held off on that. One, because of time constraints, and two, because I was not quite satisfied with some of the edits that I did on the Xbox One. But this has come along, and I'm going to just redo it altogether using the PC instead.
Well, you also could upload it, or I'm sorry, you could download what you have from YouTube.
No, 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 no.
No?
The whole thing's broken. I want to redo it,
Okay.
basically, because I was limited in constraint from what the Xbox Live Upload Studio could provide as an upload and editing tool. Like I want to change the intro and the outro, for example. I want to change two of the scenes out of the five major scenes because you said when you saw it that you thought it was broken or something, looping together because I used a glitch transition. And granted, one scene was also in the same place of the next scene geographically on the map.
Mm.
So yes, I could see that
Yeah, I
being
remember. I remember
kind of
saying that now.
confusing. Yeah. So I would like to change that up. But once you finish editing the video in Upload Studio, so you can upload it to your OneDrive in order for you to get it to your computer, then upload it to YouTube, it's finished practically.
Right.
Cannot do a whole lot with it. If you want to change it, you have to start from scratch, and that takes time. Time which I have not had,
No,
unfortunately.
no kidding.
Yes. That I'm excited about that feature in particular. And
Okay.
then you can share it back to Xbox Live once you're done on the PC. That's nice. Um, yeah. Other updates. I mentioned Cortana, and as like one of my friends complained about, it cannot do everything it can do on the phone, like the jokes, for example. He was disappointed in that. Cortana will be on the Xbox and allow you to launch parties and do other features, call up games, etc., send invites, all with your voice. Now, it is still a work in progress considering it is on the preview program, which is what the purpose is
Right.
for a preview program is to people test it out and then flesh it out
Yeah,
sequentially.
you should take preview version as this doesn't work.
As in, it's a work in progress. It's not
Right.
final. And he was getting all upset about it Thursday night. And we had to chill him out. It's like, dude, it's a preview program. It just came out. But
That's
Cortana is
amazing.
coming, and it's a big deal. And yeah,
So I guess, and maybe you said this while I was clicking around looking at the articles. So the main thing I've always wanted on these was to be able to play some of my friends who are on Xbox One from my PC. Is that
Mhm.
something that they've even mentioned with this update, or is that still not going to happen?
This is opening up the possibility. It's
Yeah.
opening up the potential for it. With the better integration of the Win32 games and the Xbox games, uh, where people can it can identify the games and tell people that their friends are playing it on their PC or their Xbox. And there's also another improvement, like the One Store, as they're
Mm-hmm.
calling it. It would seem it integrates the Xbox Live Store and the PC Store into one, I believe,
Okay.
granting but better support for both.
Well, I guess we'll see if this is a. It sounds like you're looking forward to this, but you're somewhat reserved. And I don't play Xbox One at all, so I don't
Yeah,
have a lot
me.
of comments on it.
Yeah, me. There's for me. Yes, it looks like an improvement, but there's also a lot of features that I don't fully understand yet.
Okay.
This is a big change for both the Windows 10 PC and the Xbox,
Okay.
but it's in preview, and I'm still debating on whether or not I'm going to activate my Xbox for this month's preview program.
Right, and well, eventually you'll just have to take it because they'll push it out.
Oh yeah,
Microsoft.
eventually, but it will be more functional at that time. Right now, I am using my Xbox One as the one device.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next story, which is mine. Basically, on NPR, they've got a radio show called All Things Considered,
Hmm.
and a couple of weeks ago, they talked about how the they're the scientists who work on the biologists, the geneticists who work on this kind of stuff are wanting to build the entire human genome synthetically.
Hmm.
Um, this we're doing it now. We've been doing it since about the 70s, where we modify yeast to, you know, actually I don't know why we modify yeast, but I know yeast was the big ones they modified. But I also know that we
Easily
use
reproducible,
and maybe, but
immutatable.
I also know that they're wanting to do it for viruses and bacteria. And right now we do things like, but this is for like cancer treatments too. They'll take a
Right.
virus and they'll put a gene that modifies the cancer genes in such a way that they basically light up like a spotlight to your immune system.
Right.
And so they'll then infect you with a virus that its only payload is modifying the cancer cells, and sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. But the what they're wanting to do is get a lot more in depth. So you could modify things like the gene for breast cancer is well known. It doesn't say it in this article, but this is the example I can come up with. The gene for breast cancer is well known. We know exactly which gene does it.
Right.
So if we could do something similar, modify the viruses with a synthetic gene that is a version of the gene that causes breast cancer, but it flips it off or turns it to something benign,
Right.
we could then use that to infect people who have the breast cancer gene and basically reprogram them to not have breast cancer. So that sounds
Right.
great.
Yeah, that sounds great on that side of the coin.
Right. The flip side is there's some of the critics, which I can understand, want to do or are afraid that we'll try to create superior humans using genetics. So basically, we know the genes that affect intelligence. So we might start
Right.
monkeying around and trying to make people smarter, faster, stronger.
Try to make them post-human.
Which, on one side, I'm not against because I think as a race we should always try to improve ourselves. As a
Right.
species, I guess I should say, whatever. Sorry, I've been reading some of Darwin stuff, and he uses race for species. So,
Okay.
well, that's the 1800s, 1700s way of saying it. You talk about
Right.
you talk about
Dated language. Yes, understood.
right. So he the other thing that the shorter term, between doing viruses that make cancer cells lighting up and the fear that they're going to take it and modify it so that we make superhumans is the more the more believable goal that they want to basically use it so that they can take synthetic DNA to basically grow organs. So if you got an organ, like if I needed a heart transplant or a liver transplant or a lung transplant, one, finding somebody that I can take it from is hard.
Yeah, the
And two,
compatibility
yeah,
issues.
and two is that they've got to be compatible. So, um, the way to solve that would be to take a copy of my DNA, synthesize that DNA, and then grow a healthy liver, heart, lung, whatever, and then use that for the transplant.
Right.
That I'm 100% for.
Yeah, that part sounds great. I think what scares people, though, is the potential for catastrophic failures or mistakes, or in other more conspiracy theory realms, creating a superhuman race that would subjugate and dominate the existing humans.
Right, which I
That kind of thing scares the crap out of people, and I can't really blame them.
well, I think it's a lack of understanding about what's
Right.
reasonable because
Right.
let's say there's a process that they can make babies have 15 times the intelligence that we have.
Mm.
You would have to apply that to every single baby because, like, when you're born, when the baby's born, these synthetic genes won't pass. That's what it boils down to. You
Mm.
can't, if somebody has the example I was saying, the gene for breast cancer, and they rewrite their genome to not have it, their reproductive parts will still have those genes, the original genes, to pass down. So
Okay.
basically, the rights are to that person. Because when you try to start messing with that, it just doesn't work. Now, maybe eventually they'll be able to figure out a way to write changes to the reproductive organs that will pass from one generation to another, but we're nowhere near there.
No, it's all still very experimental.
We will be very old men if that happens in our lifetimes. So anyway, I just want to get your opinions on that because it's there's lots of room for abuse, but I 100% agree with growing organs from yourself to replace your own organs.
Right.
To,
It's, hey, great things can be done with it, but I still highly recommend extreme caution not to foobar the situation,
right.
basically.
Okay. Well, there was a couple of things that got struck from the list. Did you want to talk about either one of those, or do you want to call it a
Let's
day?
see. Call it a day.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But we still have a couple of today's bit of random. That would be fun to show off,
Well, that's what I was
assuming it will
referring to.
load. You said struck from the list. I thought
Oh
you were
well.
mentioning the credit card thing.
Oh no. There's no. Okay. We'll talk about the show notes later. So, do you want me to throw up uh, the traffic sim or the
Yeah,
our
go ahead
powers
and throw
combined?
up the traffic sim because it's not loading for me. But then again, it is trying to load from a Denmark server. It's a fun little experimental simulator that came across recently, and you could basically adjust things like the gap cars. It's a traffic simulator, and the one simulator they have other simulators in the works, like an on-ramp version, for example. And yeah, just calling from memory at this point, you can adjust the traffic by increasing the max desired speed or the minimum gaps between the vehicles, how many trucks percentage wise is in the field, um, traffic densities, like however many vehicles per 100 kilometers or a kilometer. The track is about a kilometer wide if you stretch it from end to end. And
Okay. I just
yeah.
sent you a link to the archiveweb.org,
Mm-hmm.
web.archive.org, which
Oh,
has a
nice.
working version.
Nice. Yes. There it is. That is it.
Yep.
But yeah, the simulations, there's the Ring Road, which is the currently only working one. There's the on ramp version, the lane close slash speed limit, uphill grade, and more. There's little descriptions of the role of bottlenecks and the reason why uh, things are the way they are. They have different models as well: acceleration, lane changing, and boundary conditions. And it's pretty neat. It's kind of fun to play with and just watch the traffic either pile up or speed along.
Yeah, I'm causing traffic jams.
Yeah, it can happen and compound quickly, as I know from a routine experience. Do know from routine experience, including the past 6 days of my
Oh.
life. Yeah,
Well, it runs pretty smoothly if you put one car up there.
yeah, just one. If they all travel at the same speed, theoretically, it will never bottle up, which is why we have speed limits. Like for example, everybody goes 65 miles an hour on the interstate. You should theoretically have no people braking in front of others or cutting in front of others. We're all just moving in a straight line efficiently, but that doesn't always work that way.
No.
But the simulation's fun to play with and see the repercussions of different changes, including desired speed, the gap, the time gap, the density of traffic, and however many larger vehicles are on set, like the trucks. Like right now, I just cranked it up to 50% truck fraction, and it's an instant bottleneck.
They're also breaking the law. At least here in the U.S., you're supposed to stay in the two right lanes if you're a truck.
That is true, but apparently it is ignored constantly because I'm on the interstate a lot, like as in every day. Uh, yeah, true, every day. And the trucks are in every lane on the 6 lane one way interstate, with the exception of the two on the left.
Well, maybe that's the rule. Maybe you're supposed to keep the last two. But anyway,
I,
I just
yeah,
thought that
that
was,
may be.
I just threw that in there. That I do kind of like this. I've seen other simulations where they had other intersections and that kind of thing. But
Yes, I personally know of a huge Department of Transportation project that's going through fairly soon and will be in the works for the next several years that should improve that major traffic region. Now, it uses certain things like collector and distributor lanes to funnel some of the traffic in long, long lanes before it eventually merges with the main part of the interstate. Otherwise, it will split off and go into the proper exit, which I wish it was there now because I was nearly creamed by a pickup truck just Thursday because this guy decided to cut across the. You know how there's an on ramp in the interstate and there's these solid white lines with a triangular that is narrowing to its point
Right.
before you're allowed to start merging?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was moving into the lane on the far right lane of the interstate before that, and this guy was in his pickup truck in that on ramp lane, and he decided to cut across it, and he nearly pinned me between his pickup truck and a Volvo because he
Nice.
basically broke that. What the collector distributor lanes will do, though, is keep them physically completely separate from the rest of that traffic and merge in at a safer place.
Wow.
Because that particular section has two entry exits within a mile of each other. They're too close together.
Well, I finally got it to simulate the traffic inside the perimeter. I clicked the stop button.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a fun little simulator to play with. Now, on to the other fun bit. This is something Ford posted up about a week ago that we were going to post for
Team, it's
last
time.
week's podcast that we didn't do. And it's pretty fun. Ford is spoofing a Captain Planet scene for the Ford Focus Electric.
How
And
about,
it's
how about we
kind
just
of,
show it?
yeah. I believe
Team,
they're-
it's
they're
time we
with
get
showing
fully
it. It's a
charged.
28-second video.
Electric. Sustainability.
Technology!
Six-free enhanced voice recognition, communications, and entertainment system.
It makes the 90s seem really corny now. Probably because it is.
Uh-huh.
By your powers combined, I am the Focus Electric.
Focus Electric. Focus
With a creepy,
Focus Electric.
with a creepy, synthetic voice.
Yes, especially Matisse' voice. It's kind of creepy.
So
Captain
anyway,
Planet, in case you didn't catch it, people.
well, yeah. So anyway, so that's all we had today. So I think we're going to call this one, stick a pin in this one. And just as a reminder, everybody, if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. If you think it was terrible, give it a thumbs down. Leave us
And
comments.
please let us know why.
Well, yeah, don't just thumbs down and say this sucks, because that doesn't help improve anything. But anyway, you can also contact us. You can get me at twitter.com/JoeoftheWest. You can get Zeal of Sparta on twitter.com and Zeal of Sparta on YouTube. So anyway, like I said, the whole like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think. And this was Joe of the West.
And I'm Zeal of Sparta, and you have a good week, folks.
Yep, we are out.
See you next time.